In this video, we're going to jump into filtering and get that operational to show you guys exactly how. I always say operational. But you're going to see what it looks like to implement the different filtering techniques that there are available inside of RIP to get it to do different types of filtering. So you have passive interface. Passive interface with RIP is a little bit different than what you would normally do with like OSPF or EIGRP, where with RIP you will receive updates in still. So you're not going to completely block receiving routes, but you won't send any updates out. So that's going to be how passive interfaces with RIP work. We'll take a look at Prefix List, Standard and Extended ACLs. We have already taken a look at offset. We'll take a look at with modifying the hop count. And then we'll also take a look at doing kind of a similar situation, but we're going to, instead of modifying how many hops away, we'll see exactly what the administrative distance is. So to do this, we can't go to a loopback on, say, 26 and make it a passive interface, because it's not going to stop anything from happening. But what we can do is on, if you wanted to go type this in, router rip, type in passive interface, and we'll say, loopback 100. What's going to end up happening here is you won't listen to any RIP updates that come inbound, or I'm sorry, you won't send any RIP updates outbound, but you'll let RIP updates come in. So I don't have a good way of doing a passive interface with that. That's going to be one of those things where you can prefer for traffic engineering. If you go back to the ATC when it came to traffic engineering, actually I did a video on that. I think I chose router 7 to 6 to 1 to 3 over router 3 to 1 or something like that by using the passive interface outbound, because it would still listen for updates, but it wouldn't send anything out. So there's that. Now the prefix list, I've already shown you that too, where you can use that to do what do you call it? You can do a prefix list inbound. So you could say, the question was, how do I get that little cool doohickey? If you go into your hardware for your mouse and your Windows 8 computer and set up the device pointers or pointer options, you can press Control to find the mouse. And I've done that, or the thing is sitting. And the reason I like doing that is because the fact that when you've got 4 and 5 monitors, sometimes depending on my one job, I had 4 monitors. One was all monitoring, another one was for ticketing, and the third one was for device configuration and stuff like that. So I would have to be on 4 different monitors. You got a little taxing after a while trying to, where'd the mouse go again? Oh yeah, there it is. And go from there. So there's that. So with a prefix list, you don't have as many options with the prefix list as you do with some other stuff. So if we were to do, say, like a distribute list, you could say a prefix list from there. So let's say, for instance, we wanted to on 27. Now we're bouncing. So this is one of the drawbacks to doing this. Every few minutes it's going up and down. So we're just going to do this. We're going to do a show IP interface brief, and we're going to create another loopback. We're going to type in interface loopback 100. IP address is 27.1.1.27. 32-bit mask. We're going to do that. We're going to type in router RIP, and we're going to redistribute. And this is actually a great place to do this. We're actually going to exit out of here. We're going to type in prefix list, IP prefix list. We're going to say it's going to be external. And we're going to say sequence 5 and permit this address /32, and then we're going to type in route dash map, and we're going to say unique, because it's going to be a unique way to advertise the route. We're going to say match IP address in prefix list external. We're going to exit out of here. We're going to router RIP. We're going to type in redistribute connected off of a route map called unique. We're going to do that, and then we're going to set the metric to be something arbitrarily high. Now, I'm going to set it to be 10. Okay. Now we're going to go to router 6 or 26. We're going to do a show IP route, and we're going to be getting that route in from here, the 27 network. It's being routed in and it's being advertised as such. So, if there's ever a question if you could advertise a route through redistribution, you absolutely could. And that's actually the most preferred, the quickest way I would do it. This way here, if you can't use the network command, you can't use the neighbor command, this is the only other option you have to do to get it operational. And then there could be some issues with how you could get it to advertise. But what we're going to do here on this guy is we're going to do a we're going to use a prefix list on this side in a distribute list. So we're going to type an IP prefix list. We're going to say stop, and we're going to say sequence 5, and we're going to match or permit or deny this route /32, and then we're going to type in router rip, type in distribute list, and then we're typing prefix, and the prefix list name is going to be stop, and we're going to say inbound, but we're also going to say gateway. Yeah, we could say from the gateway, the name of the IP, gateway is name of an IP prefix list. Now, what this means, and this is kind of a long, convoluted thing, but your gateway is going to be the router you use to get off the network. So in this case, R26's gateway is 27, right? So if you wanted to call another prefix list, we could do that too. So we're going to go to the beginning of the line, Control A, put an exclamation point, go to the end of the line, hit Enter. That's going to hold the line in there. We're going to jump out of here, and we're going to type in. You could be specific too, because you want to deny it. It might be maybe you're getting it from two different routes. So maybe you're getting it in from your R2, and you're getting the route inbound from R3 and R1 at the same time. Maybe it's a BGP route, but you want to prefer the route going to R3 for whatever reason. So you could go in here and you could say, I want to filter this out as long as it's coming from router 1 inbound. So we're going to type in prefix or IP prefix list, and we're going to say not R27, and we're going to say sequence is going to be 5, and we're going to deny, and then whatever 27's address is. So do show IP interface brief, and this address is 27, deny /32, and hit enter. Then we're going to go back to router rip, hit the up arrow a couple times, go to the beginning of the line, get rid of that exclamation point, go to the end of the line, type in prefix list, gateway, and then the name of an IP prefix list, which is going to be not R27, and in. Okay. Now we go down to show IP route. That route should now be pulled out. So the timer is starting to go up. So by the time we get to 30, we should be. I want to make sure it's actually going to filter it out. So you could do a clear IP route and speed the process up, but you know there are some things in life that are just worth taking the time to do. 29, 31. Okay, now it's gonna. Okay, that's exactly what I was looking for. As long as it goes beyond 30, now it's going into what they consider to be invalid. So now we're going to do a clear IP route, and then we're going to say destination network to route. Yeah, we're just going to hit star and show IP route, and then after a few seconds, we should get a routing update. Unfortunately, you can't call out and say, "Hey, send me an update." Momentarily here. Sometimes it's painfully slow. Maybe I filtered too much. That could be. I've been known to do that. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I filtered too much. Router rip, and take that last one out. So we're gonna just do prefix list stop, and we're gonna say in. So do show run pipe section rip. Oh, I don't need that. Oh, that's what I did wrong. Oh, okay, so they have all the same sequence number. So that's where I goofed up. So config t IP prefix list not R27. So that should fix our problem. So because right now it's being denied, so just your order of operations can screw you up. So I should have done this. I should have said IP prefix list. Let's do a as it's out there. So I should say IP prefix list not R27, and we should say sequence is going to be 20 because all the other ones are 5, and we're going to say deny. And we'll pull this back in. We'll say deny this route, and then we'll hit enter, and then we're going to type in do show IP route. So we should have the routes back by now. What else is being blocked? Nothing should be blocked. I don't see anything else being... let's see here. Stop. Which one is stop? Okay. Okay. One good thing to do would be make sure you are keeping track of what you're denying. Because now I'm denying too many things. So let's go to router rip, and let's do this distribute list thing and pull that out. And do show IP route. Right, there they are. So yeah, I was blocking too much. Maybe it'd be better to do it on the outbound to 27 instead of inbound to 26. So yeah, that would pretty much be where it's at. You could also do an prefix lists are good for stuff like this where you need specific length, but access lists are for content filtering. So this is going to be data plane, where the other one, this the prefix list is more of a control plane, where you're going to be blocking a specific length of a packet or a specific length of a prefix, where it's not so easy to do that inside of an ACL. An ACL is a data plane filter. So if you wanted to say block some sort of protocol from, say for instance you wanted to deny ICMP in on the router, you could do that using an ACL. So you could say we want to exit out of here, we want to type in access list. We're going to say deny, or access list 1 we want to deny, and then what do we want to deny? We want to deny we don't want to do anything specific, so we're going to deny 10.100.27.27. So we can actually specify host, which is going to be easier than typing in the 4 zeros. And then we're going to type in router rip, and we're going to type in, we have a couple options here. We could say distribute list is going to be the most common thing to use because it's going to be in the data plane. So distribute list, and then you can specify 1 in. It's going to be similar to the prefix list, but this works a lot better. Show IP route. And so we're going to be losing that that route that we got in. Do we even have it before? I didn't even check. So, for instance, if we wanted to configure that ACL to block the default route, we could do that just by specifying the default route. Now, an extended access list is going to give us a little more flexibility. We can specify a particular protocol or IP. With the standard ACL, you're going to be denying all IP protocols. So that's going to be IP including TCP, UDP, ICMP, so on and so forth. So where if you wanted to deny ping to a particular device, you could say on 26, you could say IP access list 100 IP access list extended 100, and say enter, and then you could say deny, and you could say ICMP, which is right up here, ICMP, and then you could say specify the source address, which is going to be 10.100.26.20 or 27 27.27, and then you can say the source. We're going to say host here, just to make it easier. Host, and we're going to go to the end and say host 10.100.26.26. So you could say I want to deny pings between the loopbacks, and you could say all kinds of different things. So in this case for ICMP, so you could say host unreachable, host unknown, information reply. You could say whatever you want. So let's say host unreachable, and hit enter. And then you could specify this onto a distribute list if you wanted to. Or actually the better way to do this would be to go to the interface level and say IP access group 100 in, and so interface gig 1/0 dot or IP access group 100 in, and that would take care of that. So now if we were to take the summary route off of 27, so interface gig 1/0 do show run interface gig 1/0. If I was to type the summary address and take this off and go to 26, and then do a show IP route, we're going to get the momentarily here. We should get the other route in. Yeah, or no, that's 26. I want 27s. Possibly down. So ACLs are typically not used for routing filtering, but you can. That's why I'm not a big fan of them. Maybe I blocked too much again. If I could type, show IP route. She's a broke. let's do a debug IP rip. So let's see what's being learned. So the more and more you throw at this stuff, the more and more complicated it can get. So still authenticated. Should be installing all these routes. Show IP rip database? No, it's not. Interesting. Show. This is one of those times where you're like, I did too much. So the nice thing, at this point in time, you should be going back. Okay, what did I do last? So one of the things that in a troubleshooting scenario, and which is kind of what I'm in now, because I don't know what I did, or I know what configurations I've applied, so it'd be a matter of taking those off. So and the drawback to RIP is you have to do a debug to see what's going on. Unfortunately, there's no like show IP and then RIP, and you do that. I only have one command. Now you could do a show RIP, and there's not even a command for that. Show RIP nothing. Doesn't give you the ability to do anything. So if I was to do a show run pipe section RIP, I'd have to physically go in here and take a look and say, okay, what did I do? And I have authentication going. I have distribute list 1 in and distribute access list. And so show access list 1. I have a deny the loopback. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to type in router RIP and no, and pull this distribute list off. And I really wouldn't be surprised if that fixed it, and it looks like it does. So as soon as you pull that off, all of a sudden the routes come in. So like I said, you have to be careful what you're doing and seeing exactly how it goes through. And I don't think they're going to have much RIP on the exam. They could, but I don't think they're going to have it because of the fact that it does cause some issues every now and again. So it is what it is. So, but that's pretty much that. Extended ACL, I showed you guys how that worked, didn't I? Thought I did. 26. Okay. Maybe I didn't. I know I typed it in, but it didn't apply. Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I did the access list 100 and things stopped working when I did that. So anyway, so that's it. Extended access list is supposed to be a good way for you to deny a source, and that's usually where I would do it. So I would deny source of traffic going to a particular destination, or where stuff is coming from and where it's going to. So, like for instance, if you want to deny routes coming in from router route 1 going to router 2, you can do that as well. But a prefix list can do that just as easily. So I think it's easier to do with a prefix list and using a distribute list to attack onto that rather than to do an access list. An access list to me is designed for data traffic that's coming through. If you're not trying to deny traffic or deny data plane traffic, so IP protocols, TCP traffic, UDP traffic, if you're not trying to deny traffic, if you're trying to deny a particular route from being installed, that's what a prefix list is for. So on 26, the other one you can do is the administrative distance. So you can type in router RIP and type in distance, and you can type in what the AD is. So you can say, it's 120 by default. You can make it, 50 if you wanted to, and then you can do a show IP route. And everything shows up as 50 now. So anything coming in is going to show up as a 50. 50. I think 27 is supposed to look like that too. Show IP route. No, it's only locally generated traffic is going to have the 50 in there. So that's one option you have as well. So that is definitely an option. The other one you have in 26 would be the per neighbor AD. So you can type in what is that? Distance is going to be 50, and you could type in the source address. So you could say anything coming from, 10.26.27.0, yeah, 0.0.0.31. So anything coming from router 7 or 27, and then you could say show IP route. And now anything coming from, actually let's do it on the remote end. It's probably easier to do it that way because we have more routes coming in from router 26. So if we were to go to 26 and router RIP and eliminate, let's take this command and copy it over on the other remote end, but we're also don't want to do that. I want to do this. And I'm going to do Control A, no. Go to router 27 and go to global config, router RIP, and I'm going to right click and paste, but instead of doing, yeah, that should be fine. And drop out and do show IP route. Now all these guys should come in as 50. And 50. And so if I was to advertise another route in the 172, I think on 26 I'm summarizing, so no auto. 27 should be, yeah, see, everything's coming in as 50 now. And that's what you want. That's per neighbor AD. So you could set that up on, if you have a couple of neighbors, you could say as long as you know where it's coming from, and that's where the gateway comes in. So show IP protocols. This gateway is what this means. So in this case, router 26 is my gateway to get to the routes that he's advertising to me. 26 is the same way. Or show IP route or show IP protocol. 27 is our gateway to get off the network, and that's how you would set stuff up. So you could say the distance is 50, and you can do that on a per neighbor basis. So if you have multiple gateways, you can specify the gateway on the distance command. So I think that goes with all protocols. We'll have to get into that a little more deep and check that out. And then, like I said, the administrative distance is pretty straightforward. Just specify the distance, but you can get specific on a per neighbor AD. And then offset list we've seen, extended ACL we've seen, standard ACL we've seen, prefix list, and passive interface. So all pretty straightforward stuff when you get down to the nitty gritty on it. But it's one of those things where if you don't know, you could get hung up in the lab. So that's pretty much the extent of what I have to show you. I'll take a quickly I'll show you guys how to do IPv6. So if we were to do a IPv6 unicast routing, that's got to be turned on first before you do anything. And type in interface gig 1/0 and type in IPv6 RIP and then the name of the process. So we're going to say CCIE and then type in enable. And it says no IPv6 enabled. Because we don't have IPv6 route IP address configured here. So what I'm going to type in is I'm going to say IPv6 address is going to be 2001:10:26:27 26/64 enter. That's going to give me that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the same thing, I'm going to do this on the remote end on 27. Config T interface gig 1/0 dot, and then we're going to say the same thing except for I'm going to pull this out and make this 27, and then we're going to say exit real quick IPv6 unicast, and then go back to the interface gig 1/0 IPv6 RIP CCIE enable. And then we're going to go back to 26, hit the up arrow a couple times to do that. Now we have an IPv6 routing going on. And then if we were to do, we have the option of doing a default information originate. So on 27 we'll do this. we'll do a CCIE, and then we'll say default information. Advertise only the default route or originate the default route. So you can do one or the other. And then you also have the metric offset, which means you can set metric, and then you can specify what you want him to get, or a summary route, or summary address, and then whatever you want that to be. But this is going to be an IPv6 summary. And then if you absolutely had to, you type in here IPv6 router RIP CCIE and enter, and then you have your options in here. So you can specify the port for multicast. You can set up poison reverse. You could redistribute, split horizon, set your timers. All of the stuff that we've just covered is going to be identical to what you're going to do in IPv6. So everything in IPv4 is going to map directly to this. And if we were to jump to, let's go to 26 and type in interface loopback 0. Type in IPv6 address is going to be 2001:10:100:26:26 or :26/64, and then we were typing IPv6 RIP CCIE and enable. That enables RIP on that, and we go to 27. We drop out. We do a show IPv6 route. Now we're going to have a RIP route to that address. If we were to do a trace route to this address, 26, we can get there, no problem. So we have all day to get there, and we're getting there via that. So that's IPv6 too. So literally that's all there is for RIP. So like I said, there's not a whole lot to look forward to with RIP when it comes to IPv6. You might ask, well, why did why is RIP there? Well, because of the fact that there's other vendors that use it, and that it's still used in the image out there today. That's why. But there's a question: is there any way to make that link local address a little easier to deal with when it comes to the route? Actually, there is. And 26, if we were to do this, type in IPv6 address, and you type in FE80, and I like to do a colon, and I like to do the last two octets, so 2627, so 26:27:26/64, or I'm sorry, slash, and then link local. Link let's do 26 link local. Maybe it doesn't like that doing the FE80 with specific information. So you can do that, and then it's going to go over to 27. If we were to do the show IPv6 route, now it shows up that it's coming from should show that it's coming from, let's do a clear IPv6 route star. It should show that it's coming from another address, because if we were to compare this to what our 26 says, say show IPv6 interface for gig 1/0. Yeah, that's the same address. So we know it's coming from, but we use the it didn't take. It should have taken that command, but it didn't. Link local address is still there. So if we were to go back to global config, interface gig 1/0, type in IPv6 address is FE80:26, link local, and then do show IPv6 interface gig 1/0, and now it's going to show up. So 27 should see it now. There it is. So eventually this will get aged out. So if we were to do a clear IP route, IPv6 star, we're going to get just this one. And this is where it should tell you this. It's still going to show up with the other route. I don't know why it still does that, but it does. But this is going to at least tell you. And usually what I do is I do this on every interface of that router. This way here at least you know what router it's coming from, and that gives you a little bit of insight, because if you were to look at this and go, oh, I don't know who that could be. So at least this is telling you it's coming from router 26. And it can't be routed, so it's going to be directly connected to the next guy, because the link local addresses are not routable between interfaces. So that's RIP though. RIP NG as well. Going from there, there's a question: if you wanted to filter a prefix from another routing protocol into RIP, what would be the procedure to do that? I'm actually glad you asked that. Real quickly, you could do this. You could say config t and type in IPv6 prefix list, and you could say sequence is going to be 5, and it's going to be sequence number include. Oh, let's just do. And it's going to be stop or not R26, and hit sequence number is going to be 5, and then you were to hit deny, and you were to deny this route right here, and question mark, hit enter, and then you were to go. Now with the prefix list, you had to specify IPv6 prefix list or IPv6. Down here at the bottom it says access list. Those are your only options for that when it comes to filtering. You either have the prefix list, which is right here, or you have the access list. Those are your options. The general prefix is used for a global setup, to where you can specify, you get an IP address from the ISP that says, okay, 2001:5678:5678:/ whatever 48. So you get this gigantic 48/48 address from the ISP, and then you go to global config and you specify that, and then every interface that you configure is going to have that. So you can specify the general prefix under everybody. So the idea on this one would be to, if you're going to be doing this, go to router or IPv6 router RIP CCIE, type in redistribute, and you can say redistribute, OSPF, and then say 1 and say route map, and then use an you could say route map and match an IPv6 address and do that. That would definitely work. And go from there. That's how I would do it. So, but that's it for RIP. Everything else is going to be. We're going to start with EIGRP next, and we'll see exactly how that tailors on from here. So I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing. There's another question. Where are you going to go out from here? Well, I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to set this up yet. I could go up to here and then down here. I'm not sure yet. I'm actually thinking about doing OSPF on this section here and this section here, just because of the fact that OSPF is kind of unique in the way that it operates, and then doing EIGRP on this guy and seeing how that comes into play, and then from there we can go into the OSPF BGP, excuse me, and get BGP routing started and MPLS and then IPv6 and multicast and all that stuff that goes along with it. So I think we're going to stay down here at the bottom is going to be EIGRP, and then OSPF will be up at the top. Just because of the fact that you can do a lot with OSPF, and I want to give it a little bit bigger area. We're definitely going to be using OSPF in the MPLS area as the IGP. So I'm thinking maybe another section of RIP, and then EIGRP somewhere else in one of the BGP IGPs, and going from there. So, but we'll see. You never know where I just might throw it in there and just start going at it. But remember, the whole purpose of this is when we get into EIGRP, we're going to be testing out every feature. So we're going to be going through here and testing every option that's here. So if you don't know how to do something, you better learn quick, or else you're not going to be able to keep up. That's as simple as, that's the easiest way I can refer to it. So you'll see exactly how this goes through, and now that I'm doing this stuff on a per protocol basis, and the reason I did IPv6 RIP was because it's just a couple of commands. You can do, I'll probably do IPv6 specifically for these guys individually. As you can see, there's a ton with OSPF too, and you can do a lot with this guy. There's only a few things we won't be able to do with OSPF, but we'll see that when we get to it. So, but that's pretty much it. Feel you have any questions, do drop me a line on my YouTube channel or through my email. I'm always available for questions. I hope this has been informative for you. I want to thank you for viewing.